Are you still sitting through Instagram ads because you don't have to? Life is short. We literally cannot afford to spend 90% of our free time being sold things we don't need. If you're just here for the fix, skip ahead to 224. But first, look at how insane this has actually gotten. The modern internet is almost unusable without ad blocker. Think about urgency. If your grandmother is choking and you rush to YouTube to find the Heimlich maneuver, you might have to sit through a 30-second unskippable ad for a moisturizer before the video starts. In a life or death emergency, they are prioritizing a 2 cents ad payout over a human life. This inefficiency isn't a glitch, it's digital gluttony. And while that is an example of corporate greed, the daily reality is just as exhausting. On social media, the invasion is constant. Sometimes the very first thing we see isn't a friend or a creator we love, it's a paid interruption. It's a visual assault that has slowly escalated since 2015. They haven't fixed the model, they've just turned up the volume until the social part is almost drowned out. I decided to stop guessing and start counting. Without ad blockers and using a completely default Instagram feed, here is what Instagram served me. One ad, two consecutive ads, then 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8 consecutive again, and 9 and 10, 11, 12 consecutive again. Are you kidding me? 13, 14, 15, 16 consecutive again. 17 and 18 were also consecutive. In total, Instagram served me 18 ads in 20 posts. That means 90% of what I saw was advertising. That is 90% of my screen, 90% of my attention, 90% of my paid bandwidth. I do not consent to my data plan being wasted this way. I pay for my internet access, yet platforms decide how much of it is consumed by tracking scripts and autoplay videos I never asked for. I hate ads, and if you are still watching at this point, chances are you feel the same. I understand that frustration, which is exactly why I do not want you to suffer through this system unnecessarily. So next, I want to share 3 methods that actually work. Method number 1 is the simplest. It is to use Instagram against itself. Open Instagram, and yes, there is already an ad. At the top of the screen, tap the word Instagram, then select Following. That is it. You are done. You are back in the old school Instagram. Chronological, human, 0 ads, and algorithm manipulation. You will only see posts from people and pages you actively follow. The downside is the content that your content universe is limited to your existing circle. There is no wider FYP exploration. However, there is a workaround. If you tap into Reels and then select Friends, you can still access broader content. In this view, you only see Reels that your friends have liked without ads. Unfortunately, this trick was patched right after I posted it. But the other workaround is to go to Settings, then click Your Activity. Go to Likes, and click any Reels. Here you can enjoy scrolling Reels without any ads interruptions. The second method is to use a browser with a built-in ad blocker to access Instagram instead. One example is Brave browser. Download Brave, log into Instagram, and you are ready. Make sure to go into Settings and enable aggressive blocking. This removes ads and trackers across Instagram, including stories. Personally, I reached a point where I hated ads so much that I would watch stories one by one just to avoid them. On the web version, you can swipe smoothly without interruptions. The difference is immediate. This method also lets you install Instagram as a desktop app. And this is how you do it. Press Settings and Add to Home Screen. Once you do that, the phone app becomes unnecessary. At that point, you can delete Instagram from your phone altogether. The last method, that is to exploit feed loading behavior, this is not tested rigorously, so treat it as experimental. Some users report that if you scroll quickly through the default Instagram feed, then scroll back up, the app serves fewer ads. Ads still appear, but at a lower density, roughly 3 ads per 10 posts instead of the usual flood. Before we wrap up, we need to talk about what doesn't work. First, let's address the lies. Many creators tell you to just report ads or click not interested to make them go away. That is clickbait. Unlike Snapchat, where repeated feedback can actually shape what appears. On Instagram, its algorithm ignores your dislikes when it comes to frequency. It is basically screaming into a void. I personally reported and hid ads repeatedly over a long period, yet I still received 18 ads within 20 posts. At best, these tools appear to change targeting categories, not frequency. It changes what you see, but it doesn't change how much you see. The problem is not relevance, it is volume. Second, using a VPN does not solve the issue. On platforms like YouTube, setting a VPN location to countries such as Albania can remove ads entirely due to regional advertising policies. Instagram does not behave the same way. Its ad delivery system relies on your device ID and account profile, not just geographic location. As a result, changing your IP address does little to reduce ad exposure. To meaningfully disrupt targeting, you would need to reset your advertising identifier, for example, by clearing app data, resetting your device advertising ID, or using a fresh account. Even then, this only reduces targeting. It does not remove ads. You may see less personalized ads, but you will not see fewer ads. Pros and cons. To compare these approaches more systematically, I summarized them in a table across three dimensions: advertising density, content variety, and overall usability. Default Instagram performed the worst, with approximately 9 ads per 10 posts and an overall usability score of 0. The scroll fast method slightly reduced ad exposure, averaging around 3 ads per 10 posts, but did not meaningfully improve user experience. In contrast, both the following tab and the Brave browser method reduced ads to 0. The following tab scored moderately overall due to limited content variety, while the Brave browser method scored highest at 8.5 out of 10 because it preserves full content access while eliminating advertising. One major advantage of using the browser version is allowing copy and paste. I am surprised how restrictive the app is. Imagine someone posts a specific ingredient or medical term you want to research further. In the app, you're forced to manually type it into Google like it's 1995. In the browser, highlight, copy, done. And as mentioned previously, stories can also be scrolled smoothly without tapping through them one by one, something I previously did purely to avoid ads. This alone significantly reduces cognitive fatigue. However, the web version is not as fluid as the mobile app. Swipe-based navigation is more limited. Liking content does not rely on double tapping, and Reels cannot be played at 2 times speed. That said, Instagram has already disregarded our muscle memory through constant interface changes, so this inconvenience feels minor in comparison. Another limitation is image and video interaction. Content cannot always be enlarged easily. Ironically, the mobile app also restricts zooming in Reels, so this is less a regression so much as a reminder of how constrained the app already is. For these reasons, the Brave browser method scores highly but not perfectly. The missing points reflect usability trade-offs rather than content loss. My personal solution is to use methods selectively depending on the task. For example, I use the browser version for passive scrolling and story viewing where ad removal matters most. I switch to the app briefly when features such as 2 times playback or smoother swipe navigation are genuinely useful. At the same time, I rely on the following tab to maintain a feed shaped by people rather than algorithmic promotion. I would recommend you to follow more of what you genuinely enjoy. Follow your favorite creators, meme pages, artists, or communities. Let your feed be shaped by people rather than profit. Despite these drawbacks, the time and attention saved is disproportionately large. When ads dropped from 90% of your feed to 0, the gain is immediate and transformative. Over time, this easily outweighs the loss of convenience features, as illustrated by the overall scores in the comparison table. And this raises a deeper question. Why are users the ones expected to make sacrifices? Why must we install blockers and give up features just to avoid being overwhelmed by advertising? We are the ones paying for devices and data, yet the burden of adaptation falls entirely on us, not on billion-dollar media platforms, not on advertisers, and not on systems that continue to push ads despite widespread user dissatisfaction and declining effectiveness. This model is not business, it is coercion. If you do not want ads, the solution is simply to pay. This is like paying extra rent just to have your landlord stop dumping junk mail through your door. That model is basically coercion, especially when platforms double dip from both the advertiser and the subscriber, yet they frame the fee as a survival cost. The long term goal of this page is to create a world where ads are voluntary, not forced. Even small compromises would help. Imagine Instagram could limit ad exposure after a certain threshold, like 5 ads per session, after which no more are shown. Or if users already follow a sponsored partner page, the platform could reduce additional ads from similar advertisers. Many feeds already contain promotional posts from the following pages, so further saturation only adds little value. There are also clear areas where development effort could be redirected toward genuinely useful features. Imagine they include a last reel viewed function so we don't lose content when the app refreshes. Imagine they spent their billions on searchable GIFs, sorting options such as by view count, and changing background music on reposted reels when the original audio is not desired. Other simple improvements could include the ability to tap on a tagged location or person in a repost rather than being forced to scroll onward, often straight into ads. None of these features are radical, they simply prioritize user experience over extraction. If attention is the currency of the modern internet, then choosing how it is spent should not require resistance. But until it's a choice, we should rebel. Please let me know your tricks in the comments. And if you would like this series to continue, I am planning to do more homework on how to reduce or avoid ads across different platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Reddit. This project comes purely from my frustration with advertising and from wanting to support others who feel the same exhaustion. I hope these methods are not patched out, and more importantly, I hope this reaches the people who are quietly exhausted by advertising, not those who defend it, regulate it from a distance, or profit from it while users absorb the cost.